the world is bearing down on you from the moment that you go out into the quote unquote real world, but it's all just it's all an illusion, all the things you think that are important are only important to the person telling you that it's important. They're only just trying to make you believe something's important so they can get something out of you, And if you're like me, you end up forgetting that you also have needs and you also have desires and you also have dreams, and you better damn act on them because they're not going to just happen by accident.
Thomas!
Hello!
I'm so excited to talk to you. First of all, you're like the secret weapon when it comes to making tracks sound delicious. We just finished another track together. And most of our artists actually hand their productions over to you for mixing and mastering. But also, it feels like you know how to do everything. You've been a singer, a songwriter, producer, owner of a recording studio in North Carolina, an actor, a video producer. You've done video productions for Susie Collier, Jacob Collier's mom. And this year you worked with artists at Vocalize You in LA, and you work with artists in your studio in Manhattan, New York City now. And it's just wild. But I also know that you've had a wild ride with your journey, and you've been in and out of music, and you've decided to finally answer the call for real. So I'm really excited to talk to you. And can we give the audience a little bit of context? And can you tell us a bit about your journey and how you finally came to the decision to return to music?
Yeah, I'll try not to make this a 2-hour boring story. But yeah, basically, I've always been musical like my whole life. And I always kind of knew that this was my calling, I guess. To the point where when I was in elementary school and they asked me what I wanted as a career, like, when I'm fourth grade or second grade or whatever, I said, I'm going to be a singing mailman. And I didn't actually realize I was forecasting the future, that I was going to be a singing programmer, a singing user experience designer, a singing, post-production, artist, a singing graphic artist. But my whole life I was always doing music, but also something else, because something just sort of kept making me feel like that going all in was not available to me for some reason. And I think what was the moment that it kind of finally switched, I think I just sort of hit a point where I went full on in a career that I was not passionate about, and I gave it everything, and I still failed at it. And it made me realize that nothing is guaranteed, and no matter how much effort I put into something, I am not ever going to be 100% into something that I'm not really passionate about. And people can smell that. And so you work for a company, and they can tell you have this other thing that you're not bringing into work because it's for you. And so you're not, my experience is I was never going to be recognized because I wasn't going home and obsessing about the job. I was going home and I couldn't wait to get back to music. And Sunday nights always bummed me out because Monday meant work. And to the point where I started to avoid being creative on the weekends because I knew that crash was going to happen on Monday. And if I didn't let myself be creative, I wouldn't have that crash. And so I would lose like a lot of time, what I consider losing a lot of time, working sort of jobs that didn't feed me. And, so I guess for whatever reason, I just kind of jumped in and said, this is it. This is it.
And the way you swooped in is kind of crazy. Tell us about all the things. Okay, let's start with the instruments. Tell us about all the instruments you play.
Well, yeah. So
When I was in high school, I started playing clarinet. Like in elementary school, I started playing clarinet. It was sort of like our house instrument. My sister played it before me. And then she moved on to guitar. And I started to like listen to Billy Joel and Elton John, and I wanted to be him, you know. So I started to learn piano in high school. And then I got into production at pretty much at the same time and got a cassette 4-track, started playing with production. And then I knew in my production I needed guitar, but rather than ask my sister to play the part, I asked my sister to teach me to play guitar. And this is just sort of, I guess it's just part of my personality is I want to learn the thing, even if I'm going to have someone else do it, to understand what it is I'm asking for or to be able to explain. Because I'd have her play a part and I was like, no, it's not the right groove. And I'm like, just show me how to play guitar. And then, 10 years later, I can play the part, it's kind of hilarious. But I went through that. I went through a drum phase. I went through a bass phase. I sang. So I had, singing lessons. And yeah, last few years I've been studying composition and doing some hardcore like atonal ear training, which has been really great.
Yeah, can you talk a bit more about that? What impact did
Yeah.
that have for you?
Yeah. Well, what happened there is in the bucket of things that I want to do before I leave this earth is to be able to write sort of orchestral scores or to do soundtracking and write, something to picture. And a friend of mine and I entered a contest where we had to fill in the blank of 8 measures of a score that was missing from a completed score. So just fill it in with whatever you imagine. And I did my best, and I remember just falling completely flat on my face and thinking, sort of a common theme in my journey is hitting a point where I feel like, well, this isn't for me. This isn't my gift. This isn't what I have. And then realizing that there are things that you have to learn. And you don't just wake up a composer. You don't wake up a musician able to play all the things. You have to learn all the things. And so if you're not in an environment that kind of produces curiosity in you, you don't end up with that curiosity that makes you discover that you can learn anything. And so that had to come to me sort of much later in life. And I found that curiosity. And because of my friend who then suggested, well, why don't you take classes at Juilliard? I'm like, Juilliard, that's hilarious. And then I looked into it and I realized Juilliard has like this amazing like night school program that they call Extension. And it is almost an undergraduate degree that you can take, anyone can take, even remotely. It's truly has been such a gift for me. But they have ear training, composition, orchestration, all the instruments. It's obviously not like an intense performance program. It is the fundamentals, like the music theory, score reading, stuff like that. So I'm sort of on a slow course to get basically the equivalent of the undergrad degree of music that I always wish that I had gotten when I was young. And so now I'm able to do that now.
Wow. So you're now doing what you wish you had done.
That's right.
As a kid.
Yeah, and all because a friend just happened to mention this thing, and that was because I entered this contest. And a similar thing happened with mixing is like I did always produce, and because I went right to college and I went right to a job, I didn't go the traditional path where you intern at a studio and you make the coffee and then you run wires and then eventually you get to do some work, because that usually required not making any money for a long time, and I had to immediately make money. So I did what a lot of people do, which is, well, I'll just make my own home studio and read the manuals and figure it out. Except there was a lot that I didn't know, and that was how to get the sound of a record, like how to how to use techniques that are in the books to get a sound to cause you to have an emotion. And that's the stuff that you have to learn from someone else, because no book will teach you that. And so I went many, many years, and this is before YouTube. And it wasn't until I moved to New York and I just was like sitting on the couch one weekend and came up and there was a video about what a Neve preamp was and what an SSL compressor was and why they're unique and different, what 1176 was. And I stayed up for 3 days and just watched as much of this content as I could. I'm like, wow, I had no idea there was so much that I didn't know. And then I started to look for workshops and mentors and just started entering like mixing contests and things like that. And I drove people crazy, you know, playing the same song over and over and over again. But that is because of YouTube, you know. It's like literally, if YouTube hadn't happened, I think I never would have had that realization. But it was because of YouTube.
YouTube, I know, like YouTube has changed my life so much. I don't even know where I would be without it. Wow,
Yeah.
but so was that before you opened up your studio in North Carolina?
Oh no,
Or
it was
that-
after.
Oh,
yeah.
after.
Because I did that for a long time, and I didn't really realize how bad I was. And I was very cheap, you know. So like people would come and pay $25 an hour or something, and they would get their money's worth. But I wasn't getting like album projects or, well, I mean I was, but my clients were probably not looking for more than what I could give them, but I didn't realize I was so far down on the learning path, you know, that there was so far to go yet. I kind of thought, well, I have the compressor, I have the mixing board, like I'm there, you know? So I did that for a bunch of years, and then I was in a bunch of bands, and then I moved to New York, and then sold all the big stuff, and then started doing work here. But because it's New York, there's access to like studios and weekend workshops where you really learn what's going on and get one-on-one help with people, and that's really what propelled me.
I think it's so funny you say that you were so low on the in terms of your level back then. How do you feel about that now? Because now you're like
about my level now or my level back then.
Your level back then. I guess you weren't aware at the time.
I wasn't aware of it. Yeah, I wasn't aware of it. I literally didn't know. And at the end of the day, I thought I had just failed, you know, because nothing I was making was kind of picking up. I also didn't know anything about running a business, and I also was completely sabotaging myself, you know, in a lot of ways, because I did not still feel like the thing that I was trying to be. And so I didn't really advertise. I didn't go to studios. I didn't hand out flyers. Like I didn't socialize as much as I should have. Like there's so many things that I didn't do to try to be successful. So looking back, it's like obvious why I wasn't successful, because had I done those things, I would have eventually found people to mentor me down there, you know, because they were there. There were great studios in North Carolina. But I didn't, it wasn't in my personality, you know. I had to kind of learn that.
And what was your dream?
My dream was to be on stage in a stadium and to sing to thousands of people, you know.
Is it still the same?
To be Phil Collins, to be Billy Joel. Yeah. I mean, in a way it is, but that's like the industry has changed so much, and even going to big shows now does not appeal to me as it did when I was a kid. And I mean, the whole industry has changed. Like, this is gonna sound like, man, screams at cloud, but I used to sleep out for concert tickets, and we would get 8th row seats to go see Genesis, you know? So it just was a different vibe back then, and people like really appreciated live music, you know? And I think that might be coming back a little bit now,
With
But
AI now.
yeah, I mean, AI is like a whole other thing. Yeah, but I think now to connect to people, I'm almost more interested in connecting with other artists and to feel the working relationship and to create things with people, and then to share what a live experience would be with them. I think
Yeah.
that's more my dream now, rather than being like this idol or to be up on a pedestal. I kind of don't care about that stuff anymore.
Oh, interesting.
I really just kind of I want to feel the vibe, and I want to share what this magic thing is that is music.
Yeah. Oh, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
I'm curious to go back to the time when you decided to quit your job and really go for music. Like, what were you thinking at that time? And were you still thinking about yourself as, oh, I'm going to go out there and build myself as an artist? Because you then kind of went in a really strategic way.
Yeah. Well, I knew how I had screwed up before, and I knew that I had I dove in before into the studio thing, and I'm like, okay, for 2 years I'm going to do the studio thing, and I just kind of bankrupt myself,
Right.
and I know I can't do that. I don't want to do that again. That wasn't fun, So
Yeah.
I got to be smarter this time, and I also, the people that I want to work with are the people who I respect, and those people are very good at what they do. So I knew that I had to be very good at what I do. And that doesn't mean to be very good at everything, but I knew the things that I wanted to be very good at. I wanted to have a really solid understanding of music. I wanted to be able to perform. I wanted to be able to write. So I had a year basically of saying yes to any educational opportunity that would help me get there, and that included joining a songwriting group where I met you, taking Juilliard classes, taking on a songwriting mentor, taking on a business coach, taking some online classes, just in chords and harmony and stuff. I was studying jazz also online. So there were a lot of things, and I basically went back to being basically a full-time student,
Yeah. You were
and
doing so much.
yeah. And I could do that for the rest of my life, but I would run out of money.
Right.
So at some
But I was
point,
so lucky to get to know you and like be your
Yeah,
friend because I
yeah.
learned so much from you. It's insane.
yeah, and I had already sort of done that with mixing and engineering, and then I had like a guitar period, and then I had a synthesizer period where I was like building my own synthesizers and going to conventions and stuff. So it's like I had almost like eras of obsession, of like some obsessive rabbit hole, that I would go down, but it was always steering me towards this place of being the musician that I always wanted to be.
I love that. And do you feel like all the things you've learned, are you using all of them?
Yeah, it's kind of wild. So I'm just wrapping up on a production that I'm doing with a co-writer, and I just said to a friend of mine, I literally think I've used something from every class or every learning experience that I've taken in the last like 5 years. Like, we had a string arrangement, a brass arrangement. I wrote the drum part. I wrote the bass part. There was all kinds of like voice leading stuff that I used from the Juilliard stuff, but then there's like jazz chords that I'm using from the jazz stuff. Songwriting, from the songwriting mentorship. So yeah, it really does feel like it's starting. Things are starting to feel easy that never felt easy before.
Interesting. Well,
Yeah.
it seems to be giving you a really wide base that enables you to help people in different areas and
Yeah.
form collaborations in different ways.
Yeah. I feel like I can go into a room and kind of suss out where I might be able to kind of get someone unstuck, you know,
Yeah.
or find out pretty quickly if I didn't have anything. When I was at VU, you know, we were doing production sessions with the students there, and they would bring in just any situation would come up. It might be they have a note app filled with a bunch of words and they don't have a song yet, so we would write a song. Or they might have a song but they don't know how to sing it, so we would figure out how to do that. Or they might have a melody and they don't know what the chords are, or you know. And it was stressful in one way because I didn't know, like, how am I gonna, what am I walking into, and am I gonna be able to pull it off? But there wasn't a single session where I wasn't like, wow, that was the most amazing hour and a half, you know. So yeah, I'm enjoying things right now.
Well, I feel like you, in your nature, are such a generous person too. Like, I can tell how much satisfaction it gives you to make other people happy with their projects.
Yeah.
Which is so beautiful. And
I get invested. I get invested. Yeah. Like I buy into the vision, and I'm like, oh, let's make this real.
yeah, I love that. I'm never going to go away from you.
Good.
Especially because even though I've learned so much from you, and like part of me is like, okay, I should learn how to get my tracks to that level myself. It's just so nice, first of all, to collaborate, and second of all, to hand it over.
Yeah.
I'm usually super curious to learn about everything. Like when I was in sports, I would do everything. But weirdly, when it comes to Stone Marina, I'm just like a train.
Yeah. I think that's better.
Well, what I will say is that I think it works so well with how you're approaching things, you know?
Yeah.
And I just feel really happy that I get to work with you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really happy to work with you.
But also, I would love to dig deeper into what you said earlier when you were talking about how you had to learn from somebody else how to finish a track and to make it sound really professional.
Yeah.
So what have you learned there?
Well, I think the biggest jump there was when I did 2 weekend workshops at a studio called Flux Studio, and it's run by Fab DuPont, who is a Grammy award-winning mixing engineer and producer, who's also just a wonderful human being, and staff's wonderful human beings. Like it's like you, they did a sort of trial thing where they were doing a 2-day workshop. First day is a professional band is there. Someone has a song on a voice memo, and you literally watch over the entire first day, which is like a 12-hour day. You watch him produce the song and like arrange the song with the band, and they're all top New York session players.
Wow.
And then they track the song. By the end of the day, the song is in the can. And then the next day you come back and he mixes the song like over the entire day, but he's explaining every single thing. And I went to 2 of these weekends. And really the best part of the weekend was that you would take the tracks home with you. And then he offered everyone a chance to send them their mixes, and he would give them one-on-one feedback. And just that little bit of interaction with him was like everything. Because I did a bunch of like contests, online contests, where it's like you mix a thing and people are like commenting, oh, this needs more bass, I like your kick drum, whatever. But you're getting comments from people who are in the same space as you. They're not guiding you from the finish line. They're guiding you from the start line where you are, right. You know? So we're all just guessing, really, you know?
Yeah.
Their advice is as good as my advice was at that point. But to get advice from someone from like a seasoned professional that was really it. And I remember every time during a mixing session, there was like a moment that happened where the song went from sounding like a demo to sounding like a record. And it was like pixel dust was dropped over the studio, and everyone was like, "Did you hear that?" And it wasn't like he turned on a major plug-in or anything. It was just like just the tiny little steps. And at some point you turn the corner and you see this whole new landscape, and you're like, wow, where was that this whole time? It was there.
So would you say it was the cumulative effect of placing and EQing and
hundreds of tiny choices, knowing what a good sound was, like knowing where you were headed, but making 100 tiny choices towards that, and suddenly you get there. It's like you're chipping away a piece of stone until you're revealed, oh, it's a figure, oh, it's David, it's something beautiful.
I like that metaphor.
That's how it happened. Yeah. So that was another kind of big moment for me, is like having that kind of new skill set, new tool set, and that feedback was huge.
Wow. Oh, that's so interesting. Okay, so what if I just try to get there with my ears? Do you think that's possible?
Yeah, the ears. So this is funny because I had a buddy that I met there. We meet every couple months and we talk about stuff that we're working on, and we have since the first workshop. And he was kind of in the same spot that I was. We're kind of new at trying to be at a professional level. And what we noticed was EQ sort of, you learn to hear different frequencies one group at a time. So it might be like the very high end you start to be able to hear, and then it's the very low end, and then it's like the harsh highs you start to hear, and then it's like the muddy mids you start to hear. So it's like they start folding in. I think as you put attention on it, your brain starts to make it more granular how you understand these things, until you can hear something and go, oh, that has a lot of this and not much of that. And, you can start to describe what you're hearing in all of the bands. But that's like a 2-year process, I think. And it's like ear training. It's like you can't learn what all of the intervals sound like at the same time in a week. It's just not possible. Like you have to take it one little piece at a time. And that's like, whether you want to or not, that's just what's going to happen. And it's going to take as long as it takes. So it took, it probably took about 5 years for me to start to really hear all of the things, and then like levels of compression and levels of reverb and delay and all that stuff. Like it just kind of comes in a little bit at a time. But yeah, I think you can teach yourself it. And I think it's a lot of comparing what you're doing to something that you're trying to match. I think that's the most important thing, is to have a reference that you can go, I'm trying to make this bass sound like this bass, but it might be a year before you realize you're not hearing the bass because the frequencies right above it are so overblown that it's masking what's happening, So
yeah,
it's a confusing process.
There's just so many factors to it. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, oh, do I even hear what I'm supposed to hear through my speakers? Because up until now, I've still been working with like the cheapo gear I got at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And I just started upgrading now. So anyway, I'm sure that plays a role too.
Yeah, and the room.
Right, and the room.
Is huge. Yeah.
I got my bass traps. They should be here in like
excellent.
max 3 days. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to hear the difference.
Yeah. I mean,
But
I'm in a dining room nook that looks like the sort of the Millennium Falcon, you know, room, because it's like just like everywhere, you know.
I
And
love your space because it's like a music wonderland. It's like a
yeah,
hidden
it's pretty
hidden
crazy. Yeah,
corner
it's
in New
like,
York.
yeah, there's these stories about Prince moving into, I was at Sound City or something, you know, to work on records. He like moved into the studio and slept at the studio. And I kind of did the opposite. I just made my apartment my
Yeah,
studio, you know.
you
So
basically live.
basically live in a studio, yeah, which I love, you know.
I love it. I can't wait to get back there.
Yeah.
Um, but if you look back on how you approached learning everything about mixing, would you change anything about how you approached it to make it more efficient?
Um, well, the thing that I would do different is there were times in North Carolina, like I, you know, recorded in studios with bands, and there were a few occasions where like the engineers could kind of tell that I was interested in this stuff or knew a little bit about it, and they kind of offered to help me in a way, or like maybe come in and do something for them, or like little things that I kind of brushed off. Like either I didn't want to accept that someone was being like nice to me and wanted to be generous, which is very possible that that's what it was, or I was just sort of like oblivious. But the fact that I can pinpoint every moment that someone reached out to me and I didn't like follow up on it. Yeah, that's the sort of the self, you know, sabotage.
Hmm.
And it's like, well, how do you go back and redo that? Like, I would have to be a different person, and I'm not
Right.
gonna be a different person. So, I mean, they happened the way they happened, and I'm fine with the way they happened because I'm here now, and I'm loving my life, and I'm loving the kinds of work that I get to work on now. I think things would be different if technology had been different. If YouTube existed, then I would just have been up and running, you know. But as it was, I learned what I could learn at the time, and I did the best I could do with my sort of mindset. I mean, no one talked about mindset back then. It's like you were either a hard worker or you were lazy. You know, that was that was mindset. So, yeah,
Boy,
I don't know.
times have changed.
Yeah. I think if there's anything that I could have done to create more of that curiosity and go deep with the curiosity, not just like skimming, you know, the surface. I did a lot of skimming for a long time, and now I'm not afraid to go deep.
That's what I'm doing. I feel called out.
Yeah.
I feel like we're so similar. Also, the obstacles that we've put into our heads about having to do a real job, and you know, having even though handstands isn't a real job, but you know, like
yeah.
moving away from what we really wanted,
Yeah.
and then also kind of like we're kind of kids, you and I, just wanting to play.
I feel like a kid. I feel like I'm in my 20s right now. I feel like I'm having my second 20s. I really do.
I was making the video I just posted where I kind of told my story, and I was going through old footage of me from when I was a personal trainer and a figure skater.
Yeah.
And I looked so old. I look way younger now.
Oh, wow.
It's music.
That's telling. Yeah.
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 Well, what are your plans right now with your music? Do you have any?
Yeah, I'm working. So I'm working with a co-writer right now to finish up. We're doing like about a 4-song EP that's either co-written or collaborated on. And one of them is my song, and one of them is kind of a duet, and 2 of them are her songs. And so that's going to be wrapped up by, you know, end of the month. Yeah, by end of September. And then I've got like a folder of like 30 songs that are ready to get recorded and put out. So that's
Your own songs?
That's my own songs. Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
That is really going to be my focus. They are new and old because I've been writing for a long time, but large patches of not actively writing, and then sort of losing all my confidence in my writing, and then finding new confidence in my writing, and now just get out of my way, So, it's funny because it's like I kind of stopped writing in my 20s, like writing about myself. Mm-hmm. It's almost like I got self-conscious about complaining or about, I don't know. It's a weird thing, right?
Being like a downer kind of.
Yeah, just like, woe is me. Like who are you? Like, I don't know. I think the thing, I hate talking about things that come with age. Like I flat out refuse to call something an age related thing. But I do think that this comes with like years of working a job, at least, is you get more critical of yourself and you filter yourself more and you get more safe and you get more careful and you get less, you take less risk, even if that risk is writing something that no one's even going to read, like writing about yourself or writing a song that maybe you're not even going to share it. But it's like, oh, it feels like, so I don't know. It's hard to explain it, but
like just doing the things that you do for the sake of doing the thing.
Yeah, just for the joy of it.
Yeah. Oh no! Where did you go, Thomas? That's such is life. Such is life.
Such is life. That's right.
Then you ain't got it.
You got it. You got it. And you ain't got it. Then you got it.
We were talking about doing things for the sake of doing things, just for fun.
Yes.
And you were going to say something really smart, and then the video went away.
Oh, son of a gun! Well, that won't be back.
Oh shoot!
Yeah,
I was sitting on needles.
I think probably it was going to be something to the extent of that is the thing I had to learn as a grown up, is how to be. And I think this is not uncommon, is to learn how to be childlike as an adult, and to let go of all of the self-judgment, because it's really like the world is bearing down on you from the moment that you go out into the quote unquote real world, but it's all just it's all an illusion, all the things that you think end up that are important are only important to the person telling you that it's important. They're only just trying to make you believe something's important so they can get something out of you, And if you're like me, you end up forgetting that you also have needs and you also have desires and you also have dreams, and you better damn act on them, because they're not going to just happen by accident. So I think that's the realization. And when I made that realization, and then I realized that my brain was ill-equipped to suddenly become a creative person, I had to go through a whole process of learning how to be free again, to have free thoughts and to be able to capture them. And it actually had like anxiety when I was trying to be creative, and I would have a creative breakthrough and it would cause me to feel anxious. And I'm like, what the hell kind of crappy wiring is this, So that was like, that's been the last couple of years, is like going through that rewiring process to where I can actually enjoy, being creative again. It's really weird.
Tell me about it. I mean, my story is so similar. Was music the way for you to get through it as much as it was for me?
Like as a youngster?
No, like
for
in learning
creativity?
how to let go.
Yeah, well, the goal was music, so it was the way. And then it's a little bit of a trap because you can get sucked into, well, I'll learn an instrument, but you can end up just practicing for 8 hours a day and you're still not really being creative. You're practicing, you're getting better at your craft, but you're not necessarily practicing creativity until you're trying to have an expression, And so I did that for a couple of years, just like, oh, I'm going to learn. And then you go to be expressive or to like create something and you're like, I still, this still feels foreign to me, or like I can't do it anymore. And so that's like a different thing. It's just learning to be, and meditation has helped, a great deal for me. Letting go of the idea that you're in control of the idea. If you don't have an idea, you're a bad person. And letting ideas just kind of come to you by being open to them and not really exerting any force on them, letting them land, I took a songwriting class with Becca Stevens and she asked us to name our muse. And I named my muse, this is a type of bird. Now I'm going to forget the kind of bird, but it was finch, the finches.
Oh, yeah.
And when I was a youngster, my mom would pay me a couple bucks to go scrub the bird bath, and so that was my job, and to fill the bird feeders, and. We had lots of finches in Pennsylvania, and then I would go to scrub them and they would just all flutter off. And then I would get it all prepared for them again. And then as I would walk away, they would all come back again, And I feel like that's how ideas are, is if you're like pouncing on them, they flutter off. But if you just sit and you just let them feel safe, they will just come land around you and just, enjoy the soil around you and the water, and then you can observe them and have insights, So yeah, I see my creativity as like little birds that are very sensitive to motion.
That is so cool. I love that image. That's beautiful too. The image I have is that my creativity is like a garden. I have to pay attention to what it needs. And, I can plant the seeds I want to plant. I can nurture the seeds I want to nurture. I can cultivate it, or I can let it grow wild.
Right.
But I can't make it grow. Like, I have to give it what it needs, and it needs to grow on its own.
Yep. So true.
And then there's things I can't influence, like the weather. Or the amount of sun.
Right. That's right. Yeah. And sometimes you'll have a flood, and then you won't have anything for a little while, but it doesn't mean that there's nothing going on. There's always stuff going on.
Yeah.
Wow. That's cool. I like that.
It's a process, isn't it? To learn to make space as opposed to chase something.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's been a process to come back to this. I think maybe somebody who has the sort of the honor to be an artist, their entire life, they may not know what this is like to kind of come back to it after so many years. There are other struggles, that I'm sure that they have being an artist that the whole time. But coming back, that was definitely my biggest struggle, apart from sort of like the skills gap. It's the how do you plug into that like group consciousness, that will feed you the ideas.
Yeah. How do you plug into the free energy plug?
Yeah. That's right.
Where you don't have to pay, but everyone benefits if you plug into it.
Yeah. Yeah, so true.
I always wonder what artists who have been artists their whole life feel like. Like I would love to switch bodies with Florence Welsh.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean it's interesting because when I was trying to find my way back, I figured the people to talk to were artists or were professionals who were doing this the whole life. Like, how do I get to be where you are? And I always felt like they were looking at me in these sort of mentorship sessions or whatever, these consultations, and they would look at me sideways like, what's the problem, dude? Like, just do it. Like, you've got it. Just do it,
Mm-hmm.
And I realized I had to find someone who had been blocked in some way and had stumbled in some way and then found their way back. And that was gonna be my light to follow, because I didn't have the artist path. I had the straight and narrow path. And so that wasn't going to work. That wasn't going to work for me to just go to the greatest artists. How do I be like you,
Mm-hmm.
And they might not necessarily think that's such a great idea to be like them. Everyone's got their own point of view on what's good and what's not good. They probably look at me like, you got a great job. So that's great.
You got all this stability.
Just create.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot of truth to that. So, we'll talk again in a few years and see where things are at.
Yeah, I'm curious to keep this conversation going long term because I also feel like this might just be my perception, but I feel like because we have AI and we have all these technologies and your video is gone again, I can't see you anymore. Thomas, where did you go? I don't know where you went. But you're not here anymore. Oh, there you are.
And then we said goodbye. He just like show up, and then the call ended. Abrupt.
But we were just getting into a super interesting topic that I think we might have to save that for another day.
Sure.
Wait, wasn't that a line on a song we wrote?
Save it for another. Oh yeah.
I'm out of here.
I'm out of here. That's it.
Gonna head to walk out and get away. Woohoo!
Now we definitely need to record that song.
We do.
Because you did handstand your way out of there.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How funny.
But okay, can I just say what I was going to say?
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like we're living in times because we have all the technology and we have artificial intelligence and we have all the tools are there for humans to actually experience being human, like the good things of being human.
Yeah.
So I hope that we're at a breaking point where things are shifting and we're going more in that direction. And there was a reason why I thought about this, but I can't remember the point I wanted to make. Oh yeah, it was because you were talking about how artists who've always lived like artists couldn't really help you with that.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that, because I went through this process and you went through this process, and I can see many of our other artists also going through this process of kind of liberating themselves. I'm just wondering if it's a collective liberation going on right now where people are reconnecting to their creativity and learning to get out of the hustle mode and actually get back to their lives.
I hope so. I mean, I'm sure, recent years have caused a lot of people to rethink their lives, as I have. That will probably fade, as the years go on and we forget what that felt like. But I hope it's a trend towards people being more creative and not people having things served up on a platter, Write me a song about, rubber bananas and chicken sandwiches, and boo, here you go,
It's going to get boring real fast.
It will get boring. It will get boring. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting times for sure. But I really hope that there is a swing the other way, like a reaction to that people want to be connected to other human beings and to feel what you thought of, and not just, oh, you prompted that, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's really important.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for this conversation.
Yeah.
I could always talk to you for hours.
Likewise.
We might make some more videos if you're up for it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome.
This is great. This is really fun.